Hey, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 98th episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, we're talking about why some people seem to hate the LGTBQ community. But before we dive deep into that very serious subject, a couple of questions to ask you. First, if you subscribe to WokeNFree on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, or even email. Next, have you shared an episode with friends and family? This episode, like I mentioned earlier, is gonna be deep, guys. And I think there's a lot of us that have thoughts and feelings and emotions on the subject. So share. Let's have a really public conversation. Next, have you hollered at us on social media? If not, if you have breaking news or some topic ideas or something just coming across your mind and you want to share, don't keep it a dirty secret. Share with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at WokeNFree. Then lastly, have you reviewed the show? Y'all know, guys, podcasts, the bigger the platform gets, the more that goes into it, which includes all of you taking the time, whether it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or more, reviewing the show and telling us how you feel about our episodes and the show generally on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, or any of the other platforms you'll see at WokeNFree.com.
Each week, we like to share a little bit about it before we dive into the topic for the episode. Last week, we shared road trip time. Do you take the driver's seat or ride shotgun? This week, we're sharing which relaxing music do you prefer?
So for me, the Caribbean heritage always dominates, guys. So reggae is a go-to relaxer. It's a go-to genre that just relaxes me, but also just brings up good memories. And that's definitely go-to. But,
all right.
You know, I have to give a shout out to Maxwell. I love you. And also Genuine, wherever your dirty behind is. And kidding, guys, kidding. I love Genuine, but he made some freaky music, so I love that. And I find that not necessarily relaxing, but just
weird
kind
relaxing.
of like calming in a sexual way. I don't know, it's interesting. And then also, I guess if I really, really want to get relaxed to the point of like numbnation, I would definitely tune into classical music. That not only relaxes me, but gives me a wonderful night's sleep.
Wow, all right.
And you?
For me, it's definitely just classical. I was gonna think jazz, but I don't. I mean, I could relax to jazz, but I'll listen to jazz anytime. I don't even have to be relaxing. Classical is definitely the relaxing type of stuff. So I wouldn't put classical on while I'm driving.
True. Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
True.
But at home, it's definitely fine to have that on. So
absolutely.
Classical is definitely the relaxation music.
Do you ever feel pretentious though? Sometimes I feel pretentious listening to classical music.
Oh, I know.
So
I've been playing most of that music when I was younger. When I was playing the piano, I would always play classical pieces. So.
Boasty.
It was just the same thing. It was just like doing that.
I hear you. Good choice, honey.
All right. Well, let's just get into it then. Mm-hmm. What is the general attitude toward the LGBTQ plus community?
So thank you, Wikipedia, for sharing some really interesting information. So they claim the societal attitudes towards homosexuality generally varies across different cultures and different periods, as do the attitudes towards sexual desire, activity, and relationships in general. That made sense. Next, they talked about the fact that all cultures have their own values regarding appropriate and what's inappropriate when it comes to sexuality. Some sanction same-sex love and sexuality, while others disapprove of it. When it comes to heterosexual behavior, different sets of prescriptions and proscriptions may be given to individuals according to their gender, age, social status, or social class. Many of the world's cultures have in the past considered procreative sex within a recognized relationship to be the sexual norm. So heteronormative sex, right? That's the norm. Anything beyond that is seen as not outside of the norm. And there are certain sects of some religions that have definitely are influenced as to how they view sexual acts. So like they talk about the Abrahamic tradition, which has censored homosexual acts and relationships at various times. And homophobic attitudes in society manifest themselves in the form of anti-LGBT discrimination, opposition to their rights, anti-LGBT hate speech, and violence against the LGBTQ community. When it comes to some research, as stated by Wikipedia, and you can find all of the links that we're referencing in the episode at WokeNFree.com, the Pew Research Center in 2013 Global Attitude Survey found a broad acceptance of homosexuality in North America, the European Union, and much of Latin America, but equally widespread rejection was predominantly in Muslim nations and in Africa, as well as parts of Asia and Russia. And that didn't really surprise me because that seems to be kind of the consensus I've seen through media. So that was interesting to find that there's actual data that supports that as well. So the general attitude is going to be, depends on where you live. So you live here in the great states of America, woohoo! Then I think there's more acceptance than there's not. But it's not an overwhelming, like, come home, let's have apple pie. It's a kind of thing where more people will accept you here, but if you go outside of here, you actually can be threatened with not only dislike, but hate and violence.
But maybe you're saying publicly accept it.
Yeah, public
but
acceptance.
Personally accept it. I mean, I found different data, actually.
Yeah, okay, so let's see.
So I saw this USA Today article that referenced the survey taken in 2017 that actually showed that acceptance is actually decreasing. It said that 49% of non-LGBT adults said they were comfortable around the LGBT people in certain scenarios, but that's actually down from 53%.
That makes sense because look at our political stance.
Yeah,
so I think
it's
by
actually
having more conservatives
going
in
down.
Politics and the political conversation, typically that's not a community that welcomes LGBTQ plus community. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not right, but that makes sense.
It seems like the hatred stems from religion, from what you said in Wikipedia.
Yeah.
That's really literally what it comes from. It was from nowhere else. It was just religion. There wasn't anything else about it, why else.
I mean, we're going to talk about a bit more. So the next, I guess the next question would be, what would you say are the biggest objections to this community?
Well, yeah, just like I was saying, is that religion seems like that's the biggest objection for the LGBTQ plus community. It seems that certain religions they say that they have to actually go against homosexuality and that it's against what their practice is. And even current day business owners are still discriminating actually against gay couples. I mean, we hear stories all the time.
Yes.
And they reference the case of a florist that said they would not sell a gay couple flowers actually just because of the owner's religious beliefs. But at least, the government came to the rescue, and a Benton County Superior Court judge ruled on February 18th of this year actually that a florist in Richland, Washington violated the state's anti-discrimination law.
Wow, okay.
But people are actually, I think the biggest is just religion, like based off religion. They're saying, religion says, my religion says this, so I'm following it.
Absolutely, yeah. So according to the Human Rights Watch, in 2018, last year, there were a rash of new religious exemption laws passed by state legislators around the U.S., which represented a thinly veiled assault against the rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. They reported that these all we want is equality, religious exemptions, and discrimination carve out space to discriminate against these people in adoption and foster care, health care, and access to some goods and services. And these laws fail to balance moral and religious objections to the LGBT relationships and identities with the rights of the people themselves. And the findings illustrate that these exemptions encourage discriminatory refusals, discourage LGBT people from seeking out services, and even harm the people's dignity. And it seems, they went around the Human Rights Watch, they interviewed people in 3 different states. In Mississippi, state law permits a wide array of individuals, businesses, service providers to discriminate based on religious or moral objections to same-sex marriage, extramarital sex, and the recognition of transgender identity. In Tennessee, a recent state law permits mental health to turn away clients based on their religious beliefs. And in Michigan, adoption and foster care agencies that receive support from the state are explicitly empowered to refuse to place children with LGBT parents on account of the agency's own moral or religious objections. These are just some of the objections that this community is facing. And currently only 19 states and the District of Columbia explicitly prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity in employment, housing, and public accommodations.
Wow.
Another 3 states offer partial protections. New Hampshire and Wisconsin prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation, but not gender identity. And Utah prohibits discrimination in employment and housing, but not public accommodations. And then the other 28 states lack statutory provisions that explicitly prohibit discrimination against LGBT people. And this is not okay. This was as of last year. So, I think the biggest, to summarize all of that, because that's a lot of information, is that they're being discriminated against. They're being denied rights. They're being denied services, and we didn't even talk about it, but it's kind of authorized through government, which what happened to the separation between church and state, right? But is to have checks and balances, we have to have that.
I have an answer for it, but the issue that comes up is how do you protect people's freedom while still protecting other people's equality? So that's kind of the issue. So
you're saying, how do you support the freedom to believe what you want to believe, and then also not discriminate against people who violate those people's beliefs? It's a conundrum, right? And so I think ultimately, to have ultimate freedom, someone's going to lose their rights.
I would say someone's got to lose.
Your belief system has to change, because you can't protect discrimination. Like that's the issue.
And that's would be my argument. Like your hatred is not allowed. I mean, if your religion's teaching you that there's something wrong, that's what I argue.
Which is a whole other conversation.
There's something wrong with your religion.
Bring to the
that's what I say.
Does religion really support all people?
No, it can't. I mean, not. Yeah, as you mentioned, there's certain sects that are going up against it. Mm-hmm. Notice in all of this, I haven't seen something where it said science goes against homosexuality. See how it's based on nothingness? It's based off religion.
Oh, sure, you really feel, darling.
No, but that's interesting. It's like science shows that there's no issues with the community.
So you're not a faith-based person, but I am a faith-based person.
All right.
So I think the issue is that I agree with you. Your faith should never result in the persecution
of others
or discrimination of others. I absolutely
which is not true of many religions.
Yeah, my religion
they believe in sometimes war is sometimes necessary.
Most religion believes in not only the attack and discrimination, but also the death of others.
They call for that. Yeah. Well, that's what it's preached in their religion,
which is interesting.
That's something that's a little deeper, but just in you'll go in text and sometimes it'll call for violence.
Yes, absolutely.
They're like, okay.
So I think the bigger issue is we have to kind of get to the idea of like, what do we want? Do we want people to have right to love and be who they are? Or do we want people to live under the guise of beliefs, mental freedom or religious freedom? And so I vote actual freedom.
Freedom's important. It's definitely
religious
important.
Freedom, I think, has to change.
But I mean, you
can't tolerate all people then.
To me, you should change part of that religion at least. I know that's a harder thing to say, but that needs it. Because why is it hatred of? Because why you have hatred of others is wrong. Like, come on.
It is wrong, but you're going against thousands of years.
I know.
Of tenets and faith. So.
Hey, but we look at it. Just give it a couple hundreds of years. Look how we look at the Greek faith. Remember, that was a mythology. That was their faith. They believed it through and through. Zeus was a puncher.
Poseidon.
He used his children and all that stuff. He hurt his parent. Like they believed that through and through. Yeah. But look at where we come now. So I'm just saying, let's see what happens.
Change is always possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
Absolutely.
And I think we need to move towards the change towards love. I think that's a good way to go instead of the change towards absolute freedom, where it's like, do what you want.
Of how woke and free you want to get right now. But tough. So I think at the end of the day, you're also hitting the idea of, is homosexuality, should that be a right for everyone, right? And not everyone's going to come to the same. I don't even think you and I come to the same agreement on that.
What do you mean? Is it a human right?
Is it a right to be gay? Do you have a right to be gay if you want to?
You have a right, as long as you don't, you have a right to do anything. Well, I believe you have a right to do anything that doesn't harm others. That's just a personal belief and a moral stance.
Some people don't view homosexuality
because it's not harming anybody.
Or they disagree with the lifestyle, right? And
but that's great. You can disagree with everything. You might disagree with heavy metal, but I'm still going to listen to it. It's like that. That's how I feel. It's the same sort of thing.
Metal.
Yeah, their opinions. Heterosexuality, you like that it's like even
Homosexuality,
no, but I'm saying no, even for heterosexuals, we don't like everybody we see. We sometimes we have a more of affinity towards one than another. It's not just like we like all women and that is all it is. It might be like I only like these like women that fit in this kind of like category and stance. Like it's not. I think it's like an opinion. It's just like a personal preference.
But the problem is
I feel it's just a preference.
Why I have always been, I've always seen myself as an ally for this community is because heterosexuals are never prosecuted in their sexuality publicly, but we demand that gay people come out.
To actually say it.
We demand that people identify as whatever but we don't demand the same thing
you currently because there's the separation of church and state is fake. That's why. Yeah. Because that's the real reason. Because only people that are religious, they want to know that you're going against their religion by doing this. That's what it comes down to. Because think about it. If we had a true separation, they wouldn't even have to ask about that. But it's the fact that people do have a belief that certain things are wrong. I mean, they used to believe rock was wrong too, and try to persecute people listening to rock. So it's things like that. I mean, people they're getting all up in their opinions. But what are other type of crimes that are committed against the LGBTQ plus community?
So, according to scholars, there's recent research that reveals that over the course of this population's lifetime, about 1 in 5 lesbian, gay, and bisexual Americans will experience hate violence. More than 1 in 4 transgender people will face the same risk. And it's to understand the dynamics of such hate crimes and responses to them is important for America at least to really successfully and adequately deal with these harms. So lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender people, LGBT for short, make up only 3.5% of the total U.S. population, yet are highly overrepresented as victims of hate crime. So the data, collected by the federal government indicate that the incidence of all hate crimes have remained relatively stable over the year, but the proportion of hate crimes against these people have increased in recent years. And despite this increase, available resources are inadequate for the victims, and institutions meant to serve their needs are failing to do so. And the anti-LGBT hate crimes are rooted in general biases against gays, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender people. And, they blame and attack this community through a lot of things. So whether it's vandalism, criminal threats, assaults, actual physical harm, in schools, I definitely know of hearing about like bullying and stuff like that. I think the issue is also like, wasn't necessarily talked about here is also the amount of reporting is a lot. I think, yes, they're saying, they make up this amount of the population. I don't think we even have a real handle on how much hate and crimes this population is dealing with, because they don't always feel comfortable to report incidents, and they don't feel comfortable reporting the perpetrator of the crime, because a lot of times, especially like the trans, they'll be killed. They'll be really attacked. I remember a woman who was stabbed 47 times after having an sexual interaction with someone, and they found out that they were transgender, and the person killed them.
You gotta remember, it depends how the crime is classified. It might not always be called a hate crime. It just might be a crime.
It could just be a general assault.
And they don't know that it was actually based off of the hatred of the person's sexual preference or orientation. That's that you don't always get when crimes are committed. You don't actually know why.
You are now listening to WokeNFree.
WokeNFree. WokeNFree. WokeNFree.
WokeNFree.
A podcast about being real and honest.
Is there anything else that you saw that was interesting with this?
No, it was just general discrimination against them. That's pretty much you summed up everything, to be honest.
In addition to like workplace discrimination, they face issues there. They also face, issues and rejection from their families. I'm sure people have been disinherited from this. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, I think similarly, this is why people sometimes will kind of I don't want to say equate, but just when discussing the rights of this community, we'll also look into the rights of like how Black people are discriminated, right? Because there's actual physical harm that comes to us. There's hate crime. There's vandalism. There's bullying. There's discrimination.
I like to keep them separate.
I know you like to keep them separate. But
I don't like to lump one with the other because
Black rights or people of color rights
it's a different thing. Yeah, I know they try to say it's the same, but it's a lot different.
Well,
it's a lot different.
It's the same in the sense that they don't feel that they didn't choose this life, right? And they're being discriminated for who they are. As Black people we didn't choose to be Black, yet we're being discriminated against. So it's this authentic belief system that like you're discriminated against who you are without you choosing to have any part of it. And it's like, how is that?
But you're discriminated from afar, but by being a certain race, though. That's the thing.
Oh, well, yeah. So outrightly, you may or may not know if you're a part of this community versus being Black. Black skin in and of itself is a crime. So.
Yeah, so that's an issue.
So people can pop off.
And that's why I classify it different, because they don't even have to talk to you.
It's a different plight, but again, we have to be careful as a society not to be like, well, my plight is worse and I was more poor. And you know what I mean? Like, discrimination is discrimination, harm is harm. Like,
yeah, they are.
Why do you think it's important that the LGBTQ plus community is more accepted in our society?
Well, I think number one reason is because they're just humans like the rest of us. They're not inherently different. They're people. And also the thing is with this community, they don't preach hate or violence. They're just trying to stay true to how they feel. And I believe everybody has the right to do that. They should be who they want to be, whatever that is. As long as it's not hurting others and you're not purporting violence or destruction of others, then let them live. That's what I say. Yeah. There should not be an issue. Even if you did think whatever your religious text said, I mean, they're not hurting you, so why are you going to go and try to hurt them? To me, that's just crazy to do.
Absolutely. I think for a couple of reasons. First, I completely agree with you. I think there's a human right that you have the right to decide who you want to be in this world, who you want to love, how you want to dress, what type of anatomy you have. All of that is your personal journey and your personal right. And we as human beings, no matter where you are on this planet and in this galaxy and beyond, need to respect that and support and even celebrate your choice, because it takes bravery to be who you are in this world. It's because it's super easy to hide and lie because people make it very hard to be yourself. So yes. But secondly, I would say there's also probably I don't know if anyone's doing studies on this, but there's an economic loss. By discriminating against this population, we might be losing out on some of the best talent as content creators, as business people, as innovators. By you not giving people opportunities, you might be hindering the overall propagation of this community, of our world. So like, I just think that we need to think about the bigger picture. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be as powerful and big as a nation and as a race as possible? So there's an economic conversation there. I think also from a spiritual conversation, just because something said something thousands of years ago doesn't mean we should still adhere to it.
Yes.
We need to take a look at our beliefs and our faiths, and we need to take a big step back and make sure that this makes sense. Because as you can look in the Constitution, there are things that are said that made sense for that time in this country that technically no one here has a musket, but yet, the words don't always have the same effect many, many years later. So,
especially when it's been translated so many times.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it gets the wrong meaning
we need to make sure that the intention.
That's the interesting part.
So the intention of the documents, the intention of the text, is it being met? Not necessarily the word for word delivery, but the intention. And as you said, the intention of spirituality, if the intention is to harm others, we need to take a big look at that religion. Because does that make sense with the intention of the human race?
Because I don't think that's the answer.
To continue onward. So why are we harming people within the race?
And then if you do that,
here.
You can't question why the world is why it is.
Yes,
you can't question the atrocities go on.
Begets hate.
Because what are you doing? You want to continue atrocities,
Absolutely.
Right? You might think it's small. It's not as bad as what they're doing, but the things blow up out of proportion.
Yes.
Once you take one step in the wrong direction, what's to prevent you from leaping off the edge and just doing crazy violent stuff?
Absolutely.
So that's why you got to really think about what these spiritual texts are saying and
Absolutely.
what do they mean. Like it's
And then in line with that, I would also say if we want to lower and reduce bullying, if we want to reduce the amount of crime that we have in our streets and in our homes, by having a more accepting attitude towards this community would really help that mission, because there are too many kids that are being bullied and being harmed and killing themselves. I haven't seen the amount of kids kill themselves so much now from bullying I ever have in my entire life. And some of it's because of maybe they're gay, maybe they're different, and we just need to take a step back and just figure out, what do we want as people? What do we want as a human race? And by purposely not accepting any part of that race, how does that further us as people?
yeah.
It can't.
It's
So
bad, yeah.
get a grip.
Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, guys. Scenario 1. Jesse is a non-binary person that feared losing his job of 10 years, so planned to win sympathy from the employer to possibly avoid termination. A fake attack was carried out by close friends that landed Jesse in the hospital and subsequently put on disability leave. Does this one story paint a picture of this community, or is Jesse just a fraudulent person?
Is Jesse the cousin of Jussie?
Wait, what?
Or whatever?
Jussie. Oh, Jussie.
That's
That's crazy that, Jussie Smollett.
Smollett,
But that's
yeah.
that's crazy that this scenario and that the names are kind of similar. That's so strange.
You're full of
Very
it.
strange. No, but the scenario is different. It's about a non-binary person.
Mm-hmm.
It is. So it's a lot different. It's a different story.
Ah.
It has no relation to that story. This is just something that was conceived of many years in advance of that other occurrence.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I mean, it could have been conceived in advance. I don't know. It's a scenario.
So Jesse is a fraudulent person who created a crime so that he could get whatever, like a sympathy as well as money and resources stolen from his employer, right?
Well, he know that all that was. He didn't think about all that. He was just hoping to not get fired, basically.
For being non-binary.
No, we don't know the reason why he's being fired.
Okay.
That's the thing. Yeah, we don't know that in the story.
And the question is, does this one story paint a picture for this community?
Yeah,
So no,
because
I mean, I think the answer to that is always one person's action can never be the story for a whole group. I mean, it's a group.
You would
is
be
made up of
surprised how many
individuals.
people, or you may not be
Oh,
surprised
no,
how
as a
many people
black
take
person,
that. Yeah,
I
you know,
live
they
in
hear this.
skin that I know I am a walking, talking
Yeah,
representation.
they see this story and they're
of
like,
my
oh.
community. I've had people tell me, "Oh, you people aren't that bad."
Yeah.
So I know what it is to be the token and to be the representative of the race. I wish I could get paid for it, but to be honest, I mean,
Well, yeah, I'm the ambassador. I get paid yearly for this
I'm the
role.
black ambassador. Where's my
I get paid
paycheck,
yearly
guys?
for the role,
You
so.
know? Do I get stipend here? But no, he's obviously not doing justice
Well,
to his community. I apologize. Jesse is not doing justice to the community, and I think he's going to have a real talk conversation with whoever the leaders of the non-binary community
I know who those
However, but yeah, no, this one person, this action is not representative of the group.
Yeah, Jesse, you just so fraudulent. Like, you need to go somewhere with yourself. That's
Oh,
what
you
I
should
say.
play that song. Why do they lie, or why do you lie, or isn't there that song that you?
Oh,
Yeah.
I know what song you're.
Why are you a liar? Or
No,
something
it's
like that?
why the you lie.
Oh yeah. Put that in the episode.
Oh, you want to? I
guys.
can. Yeah, right. I can do that. You lie. Yep.
That's your girl?
Oh, that's all. Yeah, it's exactly like that. Yeah, yeah. When they hear it, they'll like either they've heard the meme or they haven't.
Oh gosh,
They'll
you're
see.
in store for a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. I think some people would have. Some people already know about this.
Oh my god. Stop fucking lying.
Why are you effing lying?
Amazing.
That's what he says.
Amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But definitely, yeah, that song should have just played. Yeah, as soon as he got to the hospital, they should have just played that medical adjuster or something.
Amazing.
Should come in and just play that song because, well, come on, guys, we got you.
Get life.
Scenario 2. Dane loves planes, trains, and video games. He also rereads the King James Version of the Bible every couple of months and believes Leviticus 20:13 says homosexuality is wrong and punishable. Is he right in following the words of Scripture, or should he ignore certain parts of the book?
I mean, first of all, his name's Dane, so I mean, I'm kidding, guys. Any Danes listening out there, guys, I'm kidding. I joke, I kid.
Okay, that's good.
Listen, I recommend that Dane take a step back and really first think about changing his name. Secondly,
Whoa,
Secondly, thinking about, again, what is the overall intention of the King James Bible? What is the intention of your God and your deity? The intention of choice, right? If the biggest thing that I ever took away from understanding Christianity is God gave choice to the human person. And he also said that Jesus is essentially the greatest gift that he could give to the humankind, and that Jesus would be the most ideal human being. And what did Jesus speak? Only about love, only about being about love and giving love and receiving love, even when it's not given to you. So this line and this scripture of homosexuality being wrong and punishable has to be misconstrued somehow, some way, some form. I just don't see how that could be a tenet of a deity that is about love. I don't know where, I just don't see where that can fit in that puzzle. It just doesn't make sense. So there's that. I think he should think about that. Also, spend some time with people of that community. Growing up, I think my first interaction with gay people were when I was about 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, I think lesbian girls, yeah. And I was always really grateful from such a young age, because it forced me to think differently about the world, and it forced me to be compassionate and understanding, because yeah, I was a heterosexual person and I didn't have to question it. But you know how hard it is for people who aren't that, and they have to think about what sexuality means? It's a whole other level of complexity for other people. And it's so brave and so amazing when someone says, you know what, this isn't for me. You know what, this isn't what I want. Good for you, man. That's amazing. So Dane, first of all, who the hell are you to judge? And secondly, who's even with you to judge as you love your planes, trains, and video games? Get your life. Get your life, Dane. Get your life. And your answer?
I would say that, well, yeah, I mean, technically, I guess it almost goes with your saying, is to reevaluate the whole meaning of the whole book itself, and not just take these parts and say, oh, this is exactly what this wants. You should take it on the whole, what the book is trying to teach you. Mm-hmm. So I think certain parts are probably outdated, and I believe, like I said, it could be mistranslated and stuff like that, because this is kind of a tangent, but there's like some other Bible scripture that talks about wicchcraft, but I think that's actually a misinterpretation. Okay. Which now makes Christians think that all witchcraft is bad.
Yeah, they prohibit Wicca.
But if you look at the original interpretation, it wasn't actually speaking of witchcraft as we know it. Awesome, that's what's funny.
People know. How many of y'all want to be Harry Potter right now? Get your life.
Yeah, get your life. There's a reason why Harry Potter is the most translated book in the planet.
Oh yeah, all you religious people out here talking about you love Harry Potter, get your life. Because
but they know
Harry Potter is a sinner.
But exactly. But that's where it comes down.
Witchcraft is badass.
That's where it comes down. You're ignoring certain parts of the book. That's really what's happening.
You're gonna flip that page.
Yeah. Some books Harry you just gotta fold, and you gotta have fun.
So you know what? We need to fold the page on homosexuality and let people be free with their pride flag. Like, live your life.
And don't get me started on pages that are missing from the book as well.
Jesus Christ.
That's a whole other thing. So
sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah. So Dane, you gotta fold that page. Mm-hmm. Scenario 3. Kyra's wardrobe is straight dripping, but she has not told her parents yet about her sexual preference. She feels they are too buttoned up and would never understand her choice. Should she approach her parents with the truth, or let them continue to carry on with other relatives, thinking they know what she prefers?
First, I think I'm either too old or too square. It's straight dripping. What is excuse my Manhattanite background. What does straight dripping mean? Exactly.
She's the fashionista.
But what are you implying exactly?
That's not an implication. This is.
Well, what does she have to tell her parents then?
What?
If she's a fashionista, I don't understand what's the problem then.
Oh, she has a certain sexual preference that might not align with her parents' buttoned up view of the world.
So she's not a heterosexual woman.
Yeah.
Okay, I just was trying.
We don't know.
I thought
we're not sure what it is.
Oh,
it has nothing to do with their sexuality. No, this is just telling you what kind of.
Whoa, man.
No. The
youngins.
You understand this lingo that is spoken.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know if I'm too old or if I'm too square.
You thought it had something to do with her sexual preference?
Just like straight dripping. Dripping what? Like pride or?
No, this isn't a pride thing.
Oh, I know who you're referring to. That's interesting.
I don't, but all right.
Yes. Okay. So in this situation, first of all, I'd want to know how old Kyra is. How involved.
You want to know her age?
I'd want to know.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Because it
You think
changes
it's
this
important?
conversation. Because is Kara 14 or is she 22? You know what I mean? Like, so is this person, are her parents involved financially in her well-being, or are these?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Good
like,
one.
are they paying for her to go to school
Yeah, I
and
mean,
live,
it could be
or
a-
are they just like she just
that
comes
could be
over
an
every
influence.
Sunday and she sees them, but if she doesn't, oh well. Hello, Arizona. Like, it's not ain't nothing but chicken, guys. Like,
Yeah.
So I would want to know how old she is, but at the end of the day. Choice, guys, right? Choice. You have the choice to decide who you are, and you also have the choice to decide when the world gets to know who you are. If living with a secret is too burdensome for her, and it's causing her grief, and it's making her have a less than valuable existence in life, and she obviously needs to share the truth. However, the counter of that is, by sharing the truth, if it creates a hellstorm for her and creates a worser existence, she has to decide, what is she willing to bear? Can she bear living a lie, or can she bear living the truth and dealing with the consequence of it? My Virgo nature will say, live by your truth, and F the haters, F the family. I don't give a F. Like, I don't care who you are. I've got to do me. And you either rock with me or you don't rock with me. That's my attitude about life. Not everyone takes that stance. So she has to decide who she is. But if she has a straight dripping wardrobe, I'm assuming that she's willing to be flamboyant and be out there and live her life. So she should tell them who they are, who she is, and let the cards fall where they go, or whatever the phrase is.
Oh, yeah, there's something with cards and falling.
Or dice, or let them lay where they, something with it, yeah.
Let the dice lay with men?
Excuse me?
I don't know. Is that the phrase?
Are you referring to of mice and men?
No. I'm trying to figure out what this phrase is.
Now I thought about him killing that poor animal.
Don't say that.
Have you lost your mind? You better find it. Find your mind.
What's your response for
The poor ant. I mean, there was another big thing, but I don't know if
yeah,
that's a
that's
spoiler
a
alert.
spoiler alert,
Oh,
actually.
all right. Because all right.
Yeah.
But we'll continue with this, and I would say that she definitely should approach her parents. But the key is she has to remember two words, I would say, before she gets close to them and lets them know the truth: wax on and wax off.
What the hell are you talking about? I mean, I understand the what's it called?
So basically,
Karate Kid reference.
yeah. So
but...
what you could do is she could clean the car before talking to her parents to butter them up.
Oh.
Wax
But
on, wax off.
But you better clean it the right way, because what if you scrape off the paint?
Oh yeah.
So now you effed up their car.
Yeah.
And you told them something that gave them heart palpitations. Like, we're in a whole other storm now.
Well, yeah.
But
that
you know
could
what?
happen.
You did remind me, since we're on this media
What?
bit. So if anyone, WokeNFree Nation, if you've watched Steel Magnolia, there was one character who was talking about her nephew, I think, who wanted to tell his parents that he was gay. So what he did is he had dinner with them, and then he came home and they were like, hey, what's up? And he was like, I'm dying. And they were like crying and so sad, and they were trying to figure out what's going on. And he was like, no, I'm just joking. I'm just gay.
That's crazy
So
to do it like that.
if you're looking to maybe have like
guess so, yeah.
deflect kind of thing, because I think your parents would be much more upset if they knew you were dying.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
So that if you,
like,
if you see how they deal with that, and then if you reel back a little bit and say, no, just I joke, kid, I'm just gay, then they might actually take it better, right?
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
It's a hell of a way to start a conversation, but have at it, right?
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, you could give that a shot if you want.
It's amazing.
Depending on what type
I
of
love
parents
Steel
you have,
Magnolias.
you can. I mean,
we have to. I'll add that clip in there. Yeah, we got it. I love Steel Magnolias. That movie is everything for me, short of not being diverse enough. But yes, we are at that time again. It is coming to the end of our 98th episode of WokeNFree. This was quite the episode, discussing why some people hate the LGTBQ plus community. Will we leave you hanging for what is our next episode going to be about? Drum roll, please.
on our next episode, we will be discussing if you are a secret Trump supporter. Well, make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation, and make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you want to be a guest on the show, please submit a topic for an upcoming episode, or share how you feel, or hit us up for any other reason on our contact us page at WokeNFree.com. That is WokeNFree.com. You can always feel free to hit us up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, guys. Hit us up at WokeNFree. Sponsorships. If you're interested in sponsoring an upcoming episode, we get contacted all the time about wanting to consider this, that, and the other. Contact us page at WokeNFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do. Share the episode, and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for Woke and Free Wednesdays. Remember, Woke and Free is more than a podcast. It is a way of life. Until next time.